Okay, let's dive into one of the most incredible economic stories happening right now. We're talking about a single class of drugs that isn't just helping people lose weight. No, it's powerful enough to save a nation's economy and, at the very same time, threaten a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Now, this might sound like a bit of an exaggeration, but it really nails the two massive opposing forces we're going to explore. It's a story of immense creation on one side and equally immense disruption on the other, all stemming from one medical breakthrough. So, what are we even talking about here? Well, they're called GLP-1 agonists. They were first developed for type 2 diabetes, but it's their powerful ability to regulate appetite and fundamentally change our relationship with food that's causing this global economic earthquake. All right, let's start with the resurgent side of the story. And for that, we have to go to the small country of Denmark, which is home to the pharmaceutical giant Novo Nordisk. Thanks to just the insane success of Ozempic and Wegovy, Novo Nordisk has seen its value just explode. It is now the single most valuable company in all of Europe. Now this is where it gets really wild. To put that $500 billion number into perspective, the company is now worth way more than the entire economic output, the GDP, of its own home country. And this chart just lays it all out, plain and simple. In 2023, Denmark's economy grew by almost 2%. But look what happens if you take the pharmaceutical industry out of the equation. The economy would have actually shrunk. The success of just one company literally propped up an entire nation's growth. So this isn't just an abstract number. It has real-world consequences for every single person in Denmark. All the US dollars flooding in from drug sales forced the Danish central bank to keep its interest rates low to protect its currency. So while the rest of Europe was jacking up rates, regular Danish people were enjoying cheaper loans. It basically shielded their whole economy from a recession. But here's the thing about a story like this. For every big winner, there's usually a loser, right? As Denmark's economy is soaring, that very same drug is creating an existential crisis for one of the biggest industries on the planet. So let's flip the coin and look at the disruption side. This is a completely different story for the junk food industry, whose entire business model is built on one simple idea: getting us to want more. You know, the science behind this is fascinating. These drugs are incredibly good at quieting what researchers call food noise. You know that feeling, those constant, nagging thoughts about snacks that drive so many of our impulse buys at the grocery store? Well, these drugs turn the volume way down on that. And when you look at the numbers, well, the math is simple and pretty brutal for the food industry. People on these drugs just eat less. On average, they cut their daily calorie intake by 15 to 20%. Now scale that up across millions and millions of people, and you're looking at a massive structural collapse in demand for food.
And look, this isn't just some theory on a spreadsheet. It's really happening. Retail giants like Walmart have come out and said they can see it in their own data. Shoppers taking these drugs are buying smaller baskets of food, and there's a really noticeable drop in those high-sugar, high-fat snacks.
So what you're seeing is this forced, complete reinvention of an entire industry's business model. It has to shift from a strategy built on volume and impulse, on more, to a totally new reality that's all about feeling full, smaller portions, and simply less. But the story doesn't end with grocery stores, not even close. The shockwaves from this are spreading out into corners of the global economy you would never, ever expect.
So let's just take a quick look at 3 key areas that are being quietly but dramatically transformed by the idea of population-level weight loss.
First up, healthcare. And here, it's kind of like a tale of 2 timelines. In the short term, these drugs are super expensive, and that puts a huge strain on insurance and health systems. But the long-term promise? A massive reduction in spending on costly conditions like heart disease, potentially saving the system trillions down the road. Okay, now get this one, because it's pretty wild. A lighter population literally means lighter planes. Analysts have actually done the math, and if the average passenger loses just a few kilograms, it could save airlines billions of dollars a year in fuel costs. Billions! And finally, let's talk about the workforce. It's simple. A healthier workforce is a more productive workforce. Less chronic illness could mean fewer sick days, higher productivity, and fewer people having to leave work early because of disability. You're basically unlocking this huge reserve of human capital. So, what does this all mean when you put it all together? Well, we are witnessing one of those rare moments in history where a single type of medicine is becoming a global economic force. So where does this all go from here?
Well, the ultimate scale of all this disruption really just boils down to two things: how affordable these treatments become and how widely available they are. If they become universal, the restructuring of our global economy will be absolutely profound.
And that leaves us with this huge, fascinating question to chew on. We are entering a brand new era where a drug isn't just treating a condition, it's actively rewriting the fundamental rules of supply and demand for every single one of us.